Hello and welcome to a Medieval Dynasty tour. Today I am walking us through the creation of a maze that I have created on my Medieval Dynasty map. I have connected my upper village and lower village between the two spaces with this maze area, and I think it was actually perfect for the space and exactly what it needed, taking advantage of that DLC content. So the first thing I had to do was clear the space of some of the trees and foliage that was in the area, and I had to create a lot of planks. I could turn on fast crafting at any point, but I do like the aesthetic way that the game feels and sounds, so I often let it just play and use it as some cozy time whenever I'm doing any crafting. I started out by building the piers around the perimeter of my maze. I was a little worried when I first looked at everything that maybe I gave myself too much space, but after I have all the mazes and decorations and the roads inside, I'm actually really happy with the way that it was shaped. I like the idea of the outer perimeter pier, thinking in the game maybe a young child is going for their first time in the maze and gets lost, so mom or dad have to go up and kind of coach them through which way to go and talk them around the areas that they're lost. I am a super fan of the hedge aesthetic, so I'm going to line my entire outer perimeter pier with the hedges. I started building my maze system with the hedges themselves, but there's no building grid system to align things with, and when I used the camera mode to look at it panoramically, I realized that everything was out of whack and not lining up, and it looked really bad. So I switched over to using the roads as my main system to draw everything out first, and then leaving enough space in between the roadways that I could build hedges around. This method worked really well for me. I really enjoyed the way that it turned out. So in this overhead shot, you can see where all of the roads ended up. I even changed it from here whenever I was actually in it building the mazes. So at each point here, it won't really be the true iteration until we get to the very end, because I even switched some things up as I was decorating to make it a more full maze and a better experience once you're actually inside with the hedges built. I do recommend trying to figure out your layout as soon as possible before building the actual hedges, because if you build the fence and then delete it, you get sticks back in return and not an actual seed. So you have to wait until the next season to buy new seeds from the marketplace, which can be a real bummer and really hold back your building capacity. This whole project took me like 2 in-game years to complete just so that I could keep going back to the marketplace and buy new hedge seeds. I do understand that, the game is making it so that those seeds are rare, you can't overload too quickly, but because the DLC was released when I was already in year 18 or 16 or 17 at this point, I had a lot of money saved up, so I quickly consumed all of the seeds that I wanted to use, especially because they're my favorite decorating item. Speaking of decorating, I decorated a few of my spots in the maze already. One of my favorite uses of some of the farm items, like the wicker baskets, are to use to actually hold items to create little dioramas. So in the corner of our maze, I put a little farm cart, which I might fill with more objects later. I actually left it bare, but I use a medium-sized wicker basket to fill with some straw. I do find the rotate item feature to be a little bit difficult to navigate. Depending on how you're holding the item and how you picked it up, it could be a while until it actually rotates to the position that you want it to be in. And you'll see that a little bit later when I am moving one of the smaller, more trickier items to manage. I did put in a lot of decorative items, but I'm not done yet. I wanted to, get a feel of how everything would look, make sure it was interesting enough to add value to the town so that the townspeople actually wanted to go in and visit, like Camilla wants to visit today. So in addition to buying a boatload of seeds from Domazir, I also buy a lot of his flirting items. My boyfriend actually joined me in the game and married me in the game, so I don't really have any need to flirt with the townspeople. So I just use those items to decorate, and they can look at them and be jealous that they're scattered all around town and not actually gifts that they can take. So I use them a lot in my different decorating features and kind of look at them as cute little Easter eggs that can be found in the decorating features. I actually watched one of my villagers open up the shutters of their house recently when I was walking through town. I'd never thought to try it before, never really seen anyone do it either. So as soon as I saw my villager open up their shutter, I was like, well, maybe the game devs actually made this possible. So when you get close enough to the window, if you're playing with your HUD activated, you can see that it shows you the option of pressing A on my controller to hold and opening the window. I didn't really spend a lot of time in the winter months doing much but adding extra decoration, so now that it's spring, let's give a little tour with some full hedges. So I added decorative items throughout, really focusing on maybe putting down a box or a chest and then decorating around it. Because of the angle of this location, I wasn't able to build a lot of physical features, so I really had to just work with the terrain. The rocks and the benches and the light posts were really easy to place all around, so sometimes it was just a matter of finding the right location for the right decoration. And I don't even think I'm done with it as it is. I'm going to try to add even more clutter around it as the seasons grow, but that's what I like to do in slow motion throughout this area. One of the trees that I planted inside of the maze has finally grown, so you can sit here during a hot day and relax, maybe after you are finishing your job in the barn or in the farm or in the smithy, wherever you're working in town, and you can sit there and relax. I really think that the maze was just what my town needed, and it's so cute. I loved every opportunity to add some of the DLCs with little hidden features, like a little wicker basket with some cheese and some wine in it, so you can have a nice little snack if you were visiting. I tried to place campfires where I could, but again, because of the terrain, it was difficult to always find a place for them. But whenever there was enough space inside of the maze, it did add a really cozy feature. I've been trying out new decorative features, so I added the skull, trying to prop it up against the light post. We'll see how long I keep it there if I change it. But again, using some of the flirting items to just lay around and then build a story around. So I put a hammer next to this toolbox and the fishing net. Hey, do you want to join us? When I finished my maze, I decided that I wasn't quite done yet. I wanted to add some extra element on the other side because there was something really intensely decorated, and then the next right next to it was completely empty. So it didn't quite make sense. It was unbalanced. So in order to add another element next to it, I decided to go with sort of like a picnic seating area where you could have a picnic table waiting for you. In this case, it's the wooden pier, and then a private seating area right next to it. So it has lots of decorative elements, very shaded, and giving you a nice covered spot for an enjoyable picnic with your family. I tried to lay out different elements on each of the picnic basket table areas, so it kind of gives you an idea of what each person would prefer. This table had more meat pies and elements like that. The other one had more fruit and cheese and wine. This seating area was slightly wider, so I was able to add a fireplace so you could sit inside and enjoy the view while your family might be inside of the maze. Maybe you're there when your child decides they need rescued and you have to go up and utilize the pier to guide them through the maze. But you can see now where we ended up in our beautiful town, connecting our upper level village, which is where my development started, and our maze right in the middle with the path cutting through down to our lower level village. You can see the tavern in the distance, a lot of houses, our fishing pier, and then and then further on, places that I'm looking forward to develop into our town. I have some empty houses for our kids. Whenever they grow out of their parents' houses, they'll have somewhere to go, and another market that's waiting to be developed. So if you made it this far, maybe give us a like or subscribe to the page, and you'll check us on our next build. You can watch us develop our market or something else. Let me know what you're looking forward to seeing. Thank you so much. See you next time.